What's up, Moto Buddies? Mike here from Taco Moto Co. We have two BLM law enforcement police ranger bikes. These were brought to us by the Southern California Ranger District, and they wanted to have these bikes upfitted with some police equipment. This one here, this is a 23, and they bought this on a grant and had some money for getting it upfitted. And so we went through and did some specific and some select things to turn this into a police bike. So basically it started out life as a stock KTM 500 E-XCF, and we'll kind of walk you through what it took to turn it into a law enforcement agency bike. And these are mods and upfits that we can provide any agency. So you can reach out and contact us through email, and we'll be able to discuss an upfit program like this. And you can work with us to basically put all of these components in a box and send you a police bike in a box. You could also work with us to get your bike here to the taco shop in Las Vegas, and we could make the transformation happen. So to give you an overview of what it takes to turn a standard bike into a police bike, let's first talk about the most important thing, and that's probably the lights. So there are motorcycle light kits available from a few different manufacturers, and they come in a pretty slim, pretty trim little light like this. This is a pod, and so this is mounted to the rear rack, and up front we have these lights, which we have brackets for. Now, all of these, to adapt them to a dirt bike, was a challenge, and so we 3D print these little TPU brackets. So that's a bracket that we made. Here's one that we made here to fit this to the back, and then we have this is one here that we made. And so it took quite a bit of creative engineering to get these all to fit. And then the second part of it is the electrical system. And so we've got a little on and off toggle switch right here, and when that happens, you can see that we go into full cop mode. And sides, front, these are all part of their requirements to be a law enforcement agency bike. And then this is controlled up here by easy to access on and off switch, and that's all built into a motor-minded dash. So this dash let us move the key from a really awkward position under here, turn signal indicator, and then they've got USB charging on a on switch, so we can turn that on and off. So the engine does not need to be on for these accessories to work, because they might need to charge a phone, and they can turn that on and off with the push button there. And then of course the lights will turn on independent of the engine. The engine can be on or off, and that will activate. And so all of that took quite a bit of configuring to work out, but that's a kit that we could put together for you. And then a few of the highlights, this Pro Moto Billet rack back here. And so they've got bags where they'll have some first aid kit and some other tools and things like that. And so they'll be able to mount that to this rack. And then these lights don't interfere. Now this does a little bit, and you can just see that they'll have to make sure that that rack clears this little light back here. But you're so limited with where you can put things. Compromises definitely had to be made. But this is a very sturdy rack, very, very strong, durable. The Pro Moto Billet rack is really like a work of art. It's pretty exquisite. It does take a bit of doing to install it. There are holes that had to be cut. You can see under here, there are holes here and here for this rack system to fit through into the subframe, and then it's mounted up here in the airbox. Mounting point here attaches to the subframe, and it's tricky. It took some doing, I'm not gonna lie. There was quite a bit involved in getting that installed. But once it's in, it's very, very strong, super stout, and it's not essential to doing a police service bike, but I think it adds a lot of flexibility and usability when you have that. The graphics kit, the graphics package was created by us. We do that in-house, and we could apply that to the plastics and send you plastics with the decals already on there. Some of the other things that they did was upfit with the mirrors. So these mirrors allow them to fold those in. The double take mirrors, if you've seen these before, you can just do the arm and then fold that in so the mirrors go out of the way. On lighting, notice that they have a Baja Designs XL80 headlight. These guys are riding out in the California deserts and the dunes, and having a long throw light was really essential. And so the XL80 is just about as as far of a beam as you're going to be able to throw on a light on a motorcycle. And while it's maybe not the ideal light for some close, say, trail use or single track use, when you're trying to maybe identify a rolled over buggy out in the desert on a dry lake or some situation like that, the XL80 really excels for that. And so that was the light of choice there. We put Taco Moto turn signals on here. These have a run light safety feature and they're flexible. And we did that in the rear as well. And these have a red glow to them. So a white glow on the run feature and then a red glow on the rear. Also skid plates. So they've had some donors who have contributed some parts, and we donated and contributed some parts. Now these bikes are not joyride bikes. These are working, life-saving vehicles, and so they didn't have an unlimited budget to just play around. And there's really no bling per se or farkle on these bikes. Everything on here is really about purpose and utility. But they did have a P3 Racing carbon fiber skid plate, and that was something that was added on there. We have done a lot of little small upfits for them just to show good faith to the men and women out there who are protecting us when we're out trail riding and we're using public lands. These agents, these life-saving agents, really do us all a favor, and so we thought we would return that favor by, doing a couple of nice things to them. On the tires, these are golden tires, front and rear. All 4 tires are the same tires, same spec tires, and then all 4 of them are Moose. They absolutely cannot afford to deal with flats, and so they have Michelin Moose in all of these tires, and these are super lubed. They're counterbalanced, and they have rim locks in the rear, no rim locks in the front. And a Moose is an absolute, problem solver when you have a must not fail type of situation. The Moose is really a smart way to go. They'll be riding on some pavement. These bikes are not, look, here's the situation. You have a dirt bike, which means you have incredibly small rubber contact. There is no way that you have more rubber on the road than the palm of your hand. So 55, 60 miles an hour is about all that is smart, safe, and prudent. And these guys will be, maintaining lower speeds on the highway. And so these Moose are going to be just fine. No real issues for them. Seat concepts on the seats. These are all wide seats. This is the XL, and that's a standard comfort over there. And when you are when your job is sitting on your motorcycle, having a nice seat really is a big deal. And so that's been a nice upgrade done. Suspension has been done on this bike. We may have done both of them. I'd have to look at the spec sheet. It's very possible we did both bikes. We needed to beef up the springs a little bit because these guys are wearing backpacks. They've got water, radios, gear, all of their equipment. And so they over exceed the stock capabilities of the suspension. And so we've upsprung those and then revalved those. Again, thinking about safety, ultimate safety. They might be needing to really rip it across some section to get to somebody who's injured or to some situation. And so these bikes need to be absolutely safe, comfortable, safe. Those are kind of the key criteria with how these were set up. They also needed to be very legal. So they are completely stock in terms of the exhaust. So these meet all the sound and emission requirements, and that would be an important thing to consider when looking at an agency bike. And again, there's no money for fluff and performance, those types of things that as private riders, as racers, as Baja riders, we are always chasing and looking for. It's just not part of the criteria. It's just not in the mix for a bike like this. Reliability, safety, comfort, those are the things that drive a spec sheet on a bike like this. So these are going back to the agency, and they're gonna be probably used this weekend. And we just thought we'd give you an overview of what goes into making an agency bike. And again, if you have a need to do conversion to an agency use bike, please reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you think that through and what items to spec out for a project like that. And subscribe, go out, get some adventure.